Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Chef, the only official Top Chef rewatch podcast. Thank you for joining us. Guys, how are you doing? How did you enjoy the episode?
Brian, do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay,
I
good.
thought this episode, for having a little intrigue, was a little boring. But overall, it was an okay episode.
Guys, this was my favorite episode.
Was it really?
This is my favorite episode so far of the season. I mean, finally, these chefs are kind of getting a talking to.
Yeah, they do. It's a very dramatic episode. I do agree with Brian. I was bored. I found myself checking my phone during it some of the time. And then I was like, I got to stay focused for our fans because they need to know what happened. And it's up to me to remember it. But it is dramatic. It's intense. And it's a little
I was
contentious.
on the edge of my seat from the word go. At the end of 45 minutes, when that's how long it is if you take out the commercials, I was like, we're ending right here? What a cliffhanger. I have to wait a week to see what happens after this? I don't know how people did it.
Yeah, I think that's a fun thing to do now in this whole binge culture. I mean, we're all binging, right?
I'm such a binger.
Yeah, and to like binge now, and you watch these shows, and you're like, oh, that's a big cliffhanger, and then you immediately get the resolution, and it doesn't really have the same effect, but then you can like transport yourself back to that. Because, okay, my moment that I can remember feeling was at the end of season 2 of The Office.
Pam and Jim, you're talking about the kiss.
Well, yes. I'm talking about the
casino night
kiss. And that ended season 2, I think. If this is wrong, I apologize.
Yep, no, you're right. And then, you had to wait 8 months.
You had to wait 8 months
for the will they or won't they? 8 months.
Yeah. And then it comes back, and it's some marathon thing because Meredith has rabies.
Yep.
No, because Meredith gets hit by Michael's car and has rabies.
No, that's season 4. After season 2, season 3 happens.
What happens at the beginning of season 3?
Season 3, they come back and, Jim's not working at Dunder Mifflin.
That's right. Okay.
Anymore.
That's right. Oh,
and God. Everyone's like, man, Jim ran away from Bam. He's scared. That's right. Bam.
Okay. Well, folks, I've seen The Office a bunch, and I don't know how it goes in order, but I know the episodes. Reeves, you're being quiet at The Office. Have you seen The Office?
You guys think we could get on the Office Ladies podcast? That's very popular.
Gosh.
And also,
I would honestly.
Like The Office.
You don't like it?
I like the British Office. I did not. I feel like such a snob. I can't. Yeah. I the first few seasons of the American Office is all right, but it's a little too winky for me. Cut all that because it's going to ruin my career.
It is winky. They do wink a lot.
It's just it's not for me.
I still prefer. I prefer the 2 complete seasons of the British Office to all 19 seasons of the American Office.
Yeah, me too.
Gross. This sounds like you guys prefer like shitty food to like a hamburger. Like just to sound like you're pretentious. Like I actually prefer this delicious like little tiny piece of like whatever liver whatever something with a little smear of sauce versus like a freaking cheeseburger with french fries. Like,
yeah. Have you seen the British Office, Brian?
I can't get through it.
I thought you were gonna say like I can't find it.
What do you mean by you can't get through it?
I don't live in England.
Yeah, Brian thinks he's got to move to England to watch the British version of The Office. I keep telling him, I'm like, it's like on a lot of streaming platforms.
You can watch it here. You can watch it here. It's fine.
Look, here's my problem with it. I have 2 problems with it. 1, I can't find it. 2, when I do find it, It's too cringy.
What do you
don't
mean
like
cringy?
It's so awkward. It's so cringeworthy and awkward and uncomfortable to watch.
Okay. And then can I say this? And this is the third reason that I don't like the British Office. And you know what? Let's keep all this in there. Is that everyone on the show is very ugly.
And that's the real reason. So, guys, speaking of, I think like 5 minutes ago, Brian said something about comparing really good food to hamburgers. What did you guys have for dinner last night? Perfect. Seamless transition.
That was
Seamless.
nice.
So I had left. Shut up, Brian. I had leftover baked chicken, sweet potatoes, and broccoli.
Mm.
Also, I cooked for my mom's birthday today. I'm dating the podcast now. For my mom's birthday today, I cooked her grilled chicken, like candied sweet potatoes and spinach. And not only did she have one plate, she and my sister cleaned me out.
They robbed
They-
you?
Yeah, they robbed me, and they left the food. They robbed me and all my ingredients that I had left in my fridge.
Wow.
So I'm pretty sure if you own a restaurant and you get robbed, you make good food.
That must be true. That's great. You're a good cook.
Go ahead, Brian.
So there's always a reason, and this reason I spent yesterday driving,
Mhm.
a 5-hour drive from Virginia back to Brooklyn.
Just say
and,
pizza. It's shorter. Just
I didn't
say
have pizza. I didn't have pizza. This might be worse.
okay.
From
A
a
deli
moral,
sandwich.
from
Here
a
we go.
from a moral standpoint, I had for both lunch and dinner. I had Chick-fil-A.
I thought you were going to say veal for both lunch.
Yeah,
and
so did I. I thought you were gonna say something
whoa.
worse than that.
I don't eat No, I went to Chick-fil-A at like 3:30.
AM.
Driving back and bought like a bunch of food and then ate like some of it in the car, and then I ate sandwiches when I got home for dinner. And I don't know if it's related, but my stomach has been a mess today.
Yeah,
It's not related.
it's not related. It's not. If you're eating food that makes you feel good, your stomach rewards you. So
I felt great
Gotta
eating
be-
it. It was
yeah, it's
real,
got to be
real
something
happy.
else. I'm
is
pretty sure it's something else.
Have you guys? Can you hear a small chef crying in the background, or is that you guys can't hear that?
I can't. Brian shaking his head that he can't either. I'm glad to report that we can't hear the tiny chef crying.
Okay.
Because when I hear tiny chefs crying, I start crying.
Okay. Yes, and I don't want to upset you or our fans, but I just want to, if they can hear, I want to let them know that my little French chef, he cooked a pie and there was a soggy bottom, and so
Oh no.
he's crying over it. He's so upset with himself. So they hear that in the background. There's no other reason he's crying. That's the only reason.
Okay.
I had for dinner a meatball sub that I ordered from somewhere that I do not remember.
So this feels like, and if only I had had a nice meal, we would have had this nice little change in dynamic, this nice little, improv talk here, this nice little this nice little thing. Like I'd have been top, and we'd have set Reeves down to the bottom.
Yeah,
but now he's on the bottom with me, which how does it feel?
That wouldn't feel good for me. The holiday period is a period of not eating well or cooking really at all. Which is actually, now that I say that, is not true. I do cook, but it's only on specific days. But listen, it's going to change. The dynamic will be back. I'll start cooking. Listen, this French chef is going to be fucking on top of me. I've got to cook. I've got to cook homemade tamales next week. It's going to be it's going to be real cooking coming up. So be prepared for that, fans.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens in the next episode. If Reeves has back-to-back shitty foods, then we will officially have switched dynamics entirely, and I will be very cool, and Reeves will look like a big dummy, and his wife will say things like, "You're embarrassing me on the podcast."
Yeah, that probably will happen.
And I will continue to be the rock of this podcast and eat the exact same thing.
So let's get into the episode, fellas. This one is less is more. Listen, all the contestants are back. They're a little bit raw from the last one. They jump right into a quick fire, which, first let's jump into that. They have a guest judge, Susan Going, I think is her name.
Going.
Susan Gone.
Gunn.
Susan Going, no G at the end.
So Susan Gunn tells them, she's like, you guys have a quick fire. You got to create an amuse-bouche. And you got to use a freaking vending machine for your ingredients. So you have to take 2 items from a vending machine. You have like $10 or something like that.
Yep.
And you can take 2 items and you have to make a dish based off of that.
Which, if this was season 1, this is where Harold would have thrown his chef hat down, stomped on it, and screamed, "This is not the food I'm trying to make."
Yeah. And just really quickly, for those who don't know what an amuse-bouche is, it is French for, and Reeves' little French chef will know this, of course, to amuse the mouth. And it's a calling card or a tease of what is to come, which is what they call it in the show.
Yeah.
And Mike, our big friend Mike, has slid himself right into that Harold Dieterle position in this season.
Yep.
By not liking this challenge. He really fucking hates it. He is quoted to say, "Screw this quick fire." And he calls it a Cracker Jack challenge. He immediately hates it. And I get it. If I was on this show to cook food, and I was like a good chef, and they were like, "Here, fuckhead, go to this vending machine and make fucking something out of Doritos, dummy," I'd be like, "Okay, this sucks." I probably feel the same way.
This also comes off the heels of last episode telling Mike that he's not trying and he's not giving his all. And the first thing they have him do now is, "Here's $10, make a meal out of vending machines."
Yeah. And so like everyone kind of lines up there's 2 vending machines. There's one of the rotating ones that kind of has like slightly fresher food in it. And then one that has like your standard, like, chips and, whatever, like Reese's candy and stuff like that. Everyone goes to like the revolving one. People can get like apples and stuff like that, make something. Mike goes last and he's just kind of like, fuck it. And he just gets Cheetos and I think Snickers.
I think he randomly just presses buttons on the vending machine, says, "Whatever comes out of here, whatever I don't put on the plate, I'm just going to eat."
I honestly thought he was just going to eat it. And I think that would have been better TV.
I did too.
Like, if he was like, "Fuck this challenge," and then it got to like Susan Going gets to him and he's like, "I ate it." This is fucking stupid.
So Mike had what, a Cheetos and a Snickers, right?
Yeah, and maybe something else.
Okay, we are the Pod Chef connoisseurs, so we saw what he did with it, which wasn't much. What would you have done with Cheetos and a Snickers bar?
The Snickers bar is what's difficult because it's like Cheetos. You could probably break it down and use it as like some kind of crumble of some like a textural thing on top of something.
That's where I'm going.
The Snickers, you could maybe like reduce it down and use it as like a sauce over something but you would really need to bury it. You know what? You could maybe like cut it and use like the nuts in it and maybe some of the caramel or whatever. And I don't know, I'd make like a salad or like chicken something and put all that stuff on top of it.
All right, Brian.
I would do what Mike did. I was impressed by that. I don't have any cooking skills.
I don't even want to say something now. I might ruin it.
Did you have something in mind? Like, did you think of something?
In my mind, I'm going to crush the Cheetos, and I'm also going to cut the bottom of the Snickers to get the chocolate and the crumble, and then separate that so that I've got the crumble and I've got the Cheeto dust, right? And then I'm taking the rest of it, and I am doing what you're saying is reducing it down. So turn it, like, you mash it and reduce it down. So I've got chocolate and peanut butter mixed together, and kind of want to do a Cheeto dipped crumble. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I put that reduction. I don't know how much time they had, but I'd try and cool it so it solidifies a little bit.
30 minutes.
Just keep it a little warm. That way I can roll it in the crumble and then lay it on top of the Cheetos dust. So you're just getting that salt as you're also taking in the peanut butter and the chocolate.
Okay, that's a good idea. And Brian, what were you going to do again?
I was gonna do what Mike did.
Okay.
All right. All right. Hey, less is more. But not in the case of Suzanne Gowan. She read Mike the riot act after his presentation. Take a listen.
Michael, I get this vibe from you that you could not care less. And I feel like nobody kidnapped you to put you on the show to try to win against all these people who are trying really hard. So I don't know if you weren't trying or if you're just like, it's part of your like cavalier cool guy thing.
No, I was looking in the vending machine. I just was blank, you know?
Yeah, but did you look around? I mean, everybody else
I did. I looked around everyone's plates and I was just like, you know.
So I want to point out that there's a lot going on visually right now when that scene is playing out. So she calls Mike out and says, "No one kidnapped you." And then it cuts to Mike and his face turns bright red. And then it like cuts back to Susan Gunn doing her speech. And you see Tom kind of like slowly appear from the background with a butcher knife in his hand. And he's like pointing like at Mike about it with the knife, and Mike just kind of like slowly like stumbles through. He's like, "Yeah, no one kidnapped me. I want to be here. I want to be here."
He had sweat coming down his brow. He kept wiping it.
Yes,
I took a in college very briefly. I took a police class, and in that class,
I'm sorry. Wait a second. A police class?
Yeah, it's policing 101.
Yeah, police 101. You didn't take
Oh my god.
in that class.
Police 101 as a class?
That's a gen ed requirement.
Yeah. And you learn to look for certain clues when people are giving notes.
Oh my
They
god.
try to give you like little clues if they're like in danger or something like that. And in this, you can tell that Mike is in fact in danger, and he is sending out signals, because what he's doing is he's blinking, and the way that he's blinking, it's not Morse code. Well, it is Morse code, but it's not Morse. It's Morris code, Morse code, which is a lesser known code, which I learned in my policing 101. And what he was saying was he was trying to do that thing that Zach Morris used to do, when he used to like freeze the TV camera and he would talk directly to the screen. So he was like blinking, trying really hard to freeze time, to like be like freeze and come up and tell us that he's in danger. So he's doing this Zach Morris code, and I picked up on it right away, which my professor from my policing 101 would be very proud of me, which would be a big difference from how he felt about me during the class, which was that I was a guy who was sleeping in the back.
Yeah, I remember you told me about how like you thought that your police teacher, thought you were lazy, but also was convinced you were a criminal of some kind.
Yeah, I would come in and I'd be like 5 minutes late, and he'd be like, "Where were you?" And I'd say, "Oh, it's like I overslept." And he was like, "Okay, well, I just got a report over the scanner that a bank was robbed." And he would say, "But you don't know anything about that, do you?" And I would say, "This is pretty similar to that Simpsons bit during the baseball episode." And he was like, "Quick, change the subject."
Mm-hmm.
And I passed that class, but because it was pass fail.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder what happened to that guy. He's probably dead.
Jamal,
Okay.
thoughts?
I got no thoughts. When Brian gets like this, it's best to let it get out. And then we can move on.
I wasn't expecting a follow-up question from Reeves to keep it going, but it kept going.
I was really interested in that class. It's all right. I've marked it in my brain forever now, so I'll bring it up a lot. So the quick fire ends. Mike's all red-faced, and Carlos ends up winning. He makes something that the only part of it that I remember was a squirt. Which do you know what that is?
Oh, you're about to ask me if I know what squirting is?
Yes.
I know what squirting is.
Okay, what is it?
Squirting is when you're having sex
Okay.
and
Okay.
you're both so sweaty
This can't
that
be it.
your friction causes like your sweat to like smush between you and shoot out onto your bed sheets.
Okay. So I guess that's what Carlos put in his dish. I don't. So I don't know. I really don't. I googled it. I still don't know what a squirt is. Do you guys know what it is? Like for real?
I don't know if you got to take the safe search off when you Google squirt.
Okay, and I can't figure out how to change those settings.
You have to talk to your wife.
Ugh, she didn't set them. The IT guy did. He said, "I gotta put these on here."
Well, you told us that he tried to do it too, but he had been intimidated by your computer because it was still really strong.
Yes. So I did end up wrangling all the electronic equipment in my house and pushed them all into my car and took them to, the Apple store basically to see if none of these are Apple products, but basically to see if there's anything they could do about them.
Nope, nobody at the Apple store knows anything about squirting. I can tell you that.
Definitely not. And also couldn't help me at all because somehow my electronic equipment convinced everyone in the Apple store to join their CrossFit gym that they've created in my backyard. So nothing has been fixed. Everything is broken still.
That's scary, and you can't use your backyard anymore, right? Because they've fully taken it over.
Yeah, it's just covered in dumbbells and barbells and boxes to jump on.
Yeah, and you've gone on record saying that you can't swing a kettlebell without hitting a kettlebell.
Yeah. And they've got them hanging from the trees, which is and it's at a height that if you swing it, you're going to hit it. But it's like, there's so many kettlebells out there.
And you immediately tried to end the promotion that they were doing, which was burpees for Slurpees.
Yes. I tried to take down all the flyers that they had printed out because a printer is also part of their gang. And it just they knew because they put some kind of ink on it that as soon as you ripped it, it exploded onto me. So I came home and I was covered in blue ink and they knew and they were like, all right, now you got to do a freaking Tabitha workout with us. Anyway, I am powering through it. So we move on to the elimination challenge, which is first they break off into teams. I think it's teams of maybe 3. And the challenge is to cook 3 dishes, I believe, and you have to keep it at 500 calories.
Which this kind of makes me realize, because I've been counting a lot of calories during this pandemic, 500 calories is not that hard to do for one serving of food, like one meal.
For one meal, yes. There's a lot of things you can cut out.
Yeah.
To cut down on it, which is eventually we'll get to this. The judges complain things weren't seasoned. And it's well, they can't use salt. They can't use all these things. So you basically would have to over season with herbs and stuff like that. But that also makes things taste like shit. So it is kind of for 3 dishes. I think especially one that has to be a dessert is pretty hard to do. I think you can get creative with it, but I don't know.
This was also they had to serve it to, again, it's they're serving it to kids, which is another wrinkle they like to do. And to put another little twist on this one, it's at a fat camp, which they call a nutrition camp, but it is a fat camp.
Yeah.
I never went to a fat camp. I probably could have. But I do love the movie Heavyweights. You guys seen Heavyweights?
In that.
It's been a long time, but I did see it.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus currently now. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Check it out.
I looked just like the main kid when I was that age. But 500 calories seems like such little food, and that's your main meal for the day. I get that you're supposed to cut calories, but man, that's such little food.
I mean, it's more than you think, Brian. 148 grams of russet potatoes, which is a single serving, is actually a lot of potatoes, but it's not a lot of calories.
Serving size is always kind of a thing that has eluded me, because it'll often say serving size is this, and then you see that and you go, who is this for? Like, it's kind of this like moment when I like put on my like 80s stand-up comedian hat and I'm like, serving size? Who is this serving? Like that sort of thing. And it gets a big laugh from my wife. She thinks that's really funny.
Yeah.
And
I know the comic you're doing. I'm not going to say his name because we don't have copyright freedom to say it, but I know the comic you're doing. Also, I just want to say, Brian, I'm telling you, 101 serving of potatoes, 148 grams, is like half a plate of potatoes.
but
But what? It's half the plate. And a fourth of the plate should be a vegetable, and then a fourth something else, whatever you want. Either another vegetable, or if you eat meat. You could do that in under 100 or under 500 calories.
let's put this in like like a thing that I eat. So like a box of say like macaroni and cheese is like
You're talking about
6
chemical mac and cheese,
servings.
the blue box.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I got the Blue Box Blues, and it's like 6 servings, but I eat the whole thing
Yeah.
It's got so much butter.
easily.
So if it's 6 servings, you eat the whole thing. Even in this scenario, you could be like, why don't I just eat 3 servings today?
I could, but
you want that cheese. You want that. You want the
I got the Blue Box Blues, baby.
Yeah, he's got to eat the whole thing to get rid of his blues.
Gotta finish it. You're a completionist, so that makes sense.
Yes,
Yes.
it's got to be finished. I think there's also an argument to be made that like high carbs probably you do need to kind of balance a little bit of everything. Like it can't just be like 500 calories and then if it's like high on something else is usually a bad thing unless it's like certain vitamins. But listen, this is whatever it was, 2007. Everyone's a freaking moron back then. No one knows anything about fucking anything. Not like today where everyone's just like hyper intelligent. So
This is why Josie freaks out when the nutritionist goes, 1 cup of olive oil is 1,500 calories. She's like, what? What? It's like, yeah, it's oil from an olive. Yeah, it's a cup of it. A tablespoon is 140.
And people thought that was bad, but like Italians live a long time. I mean, a lot of people tell you to do like the Mediterranean diet, which is just drinking olive oil, eating olives.
Yes, it is purely like you take a cold shot of cold pressed olive oil and then you just follow it with olives. And you live forever.
And you smoke a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Then you fight for austerity measures. No,
Okay.
no one's up on it. All right. Fine. Get it.
It's too smart for me.
Yes, sorry for bringing in worldly knowledge.
So a nutritionist has to be there and they have to verify all their meals, and they all the nutritionists are women. Is that anything?
Not for 3 guys who arguably should have some women on the podcast. I will say that a lot of times people are saying things and the way they've edited it, I got it. Is they'll show cuts of like the health specialist like making like crazy faces, like shaking their head or like looking confused. I don't think that is sequenced correctly. I think it was just maybe what was they were telling them that they were making. They were like, "What? You're gonna make a cookie? What? With Splenda?"
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. It had nothing to do with the calories. It was just like what they had decided to cook.
Marcel did, in defense, Marcel did walk over with like leftover bacon and avocado ice cream and tried to hawk it on them. And they were like, we'll pass.
He's like, it's pretty good, right? You guys want to try it?
Right? This is kind of different.
Pretty
It's kind of
tasty.
different.
Oh,
I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I want to do a flavor that no one's done.
We get a great Marcel being dumb moment when he's like, let's do prosciutto wrapped asparagus.
That's the worst ideas.
Benny's like, look, I don't have kids, but like, kids are gonna fucking eat that.
He's such a dummy. Well, he's I shouldn't say that. I think he just like he doesn't think about his audience ever. He just kind of thinks about like what like the literal challenge and what he can do that's creative. and then he never thinks about who it's for.
To set up what the like oncoming drama coming up in a little bit, what happens is Betty makes these crispy cookies, which are just like whipped eggs, because when you whip egg whites for a long time, they turn into it's crazy what happens to them. It's like some magic shit.
They turn into meringue.
Yeah, and or pavlovas, which I thought that they called them that those were different things in British Bake Off world, but what do I know? Betty uses Splenda, which I feel like only existed in 2007, and her cookies don't turn out, so then everyone goes to bed, and everyone wakes up, and Betty gives everyone morning kisses, which she gives everyone morning kisses.
The law, which seems
Yeah,
it's violating some law.
Mm-hmm.
and,
But she floats around and says, "Okay, time for your morning kisses," and just flies around wherever they are, their apartment space, and gives every single person there a nice little kiss.
Except for Marcel.
She gives them one.
She does when he's like, "Ew, gross."
Gross, Betty.
He wipes it off really hard. He's like,
Yeah.
Oh, cooties.
oh, sick.
He goes, "Ugh, ugh."
And Cliff walks in. He's like, "Come on, man, be cool."
Yeah, Cliff gets his kiss, and music goes boom because he's bald, and so then they have to go and cook their food again today. Do the whole thing over again, but this time it's for real, and everyone is talking about how there's olive oil flowing like we're in friggin' Greece. And there's just like there's squirters everywhere. We're back to squirters.
Yeah, they're squirting
everywhere.
Squirting. They're chefs. They're always going to be squirting.
Yeah, they're squirting. There's a lot of talk that there are chefs. So like the whole challenge was you work with this health whatever specialist to count your calories, and you come up with ingredients and exactly what you're going to do, and then the next day you make that exactly. But the problem is the next day, some people are not making it exactly. They're adding olive oil, they're squirting all over the place, and they're adding sugar and stuff like that to make their food taste better.
And it's unfair. And, when we hear the critique of some of the kids who are, now full freelance judges who aren't getting paid, so it's child labor. They give a review of the food, and one of the kids turns out is actually Dr. Melfi, and she returns to the show. Take a listen.
I would think probably everything would be good except the smoothie, because I think they put too much grapes and I think too much cantaloupe.
So that's Dr. Melfi.
Yeah, and you might be wondering, like, that child is slurring their words, and they are all drunk. And I thought that was a mistake that they were like, okay, we're gonna hand out some wine, we kids are not old enough, but this is the good life, we're at one meal, it's only 5,000 or 500 calories, you can have a glass of wine with it, that's fine. And then a lot of the kids end up getting real drunk.
Well, because I think there's two things at play here. One is that these shoots take a long time. So they're out there, they're in the heat, they're drinking, they're having a good time. But also, these kids are at a fat camp. They haven't eaten anything of true substance in a long time. So one drink, I'm sure that, so we know that Padma was the one that was really pushing for the kids to have drinks. She was like, look, it's very European. Kids in the country drink, it's not a big deal. And Tom's like, yeah, but these aren't European kids. These are little American fat kids. And Pat was like, no, it's fine. Look, it's fine. And so Tom told me this because he, of course, ended up being correct. So he loves to tell me the story. He's always like, yeah, one time Pat gave all these kids one drink of wine. But this kids had nothing in their stomachs. So they took one drink of wine and they're off the fucking deep end.
Yeah.
They're on a full-blown bender.
They're fucking schmutz. They're fucking schmutzed out of their minds.
They're fucking going crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, people need to get off these kids' backs. They're like, oh, they're lightweights. They're getting so drunk. you know, after like 2 or 3 sips of like really, really strong liquor that they also gave them. And it's like they didn't eat anything because they were running around playing soccer beforehand and they barely had any calories. So that's why like their words were a little slurred and they were kind of stumbling around and throwing up all the time.
Yeah. And those kids, I know, can hold their liquor on most other days. It just was it was just one of those like perfect storms, you know? They're at fat camp, they've not been eating, especially not bread. Well, it's 2007, they probably ate a ton of like wheat bread and we're like, it's wheat bread, it's good for you. Eat all of it. So they had one drink of wine and a bunch of little tiny they gave them all because they were cute, those little airplane bottles of liquor, they gave them those because they're very cute.
It looks so big next to them because they're all like so small. It looked really big. So they gave that along with like the pizza and stuff that they made for them. I was thinking it was probably good that Emily got eliminated last week because she would have been so pissed cooking for these kids.
Oh yeah, she hates kids. So
Fucking hates kids.
she would have been livid.
Two things Emily hates are fat people and kids. She would have gone on a shooting spree. Those kids would have been like, this smoothie isn't sweet enough, and she'd have been like, last thing you need, you little fucker, you little fat fuck, is sugar with your runny nose.
Yeah.
Ugh. Fired up. I'm ready to go. Let's go, baby.
So the kids, you know, like each team captain or whoever they elect comes out and like tells them like, here's what I fixed for you, or here's what we prepared. And the kids get to vote on what they wanted. Surprise, they all want the pizza dish and they all love the pizza dish. Yeah. So that went over well. The judges eat it. They're like, the pizza's pretty good. Everything else tastes like fucking shit. It's not seasoned. It doesn't seem to have salt or sugar in it. All the things that make things taste good that have high calorie content. They don't have any of that. So they go back to, am I missing anything? Anything else you guys want to add before we get to the judges table?
Oh, one thing that I thought was really interesting is that the whole kind of like end of the episode revolves around Betty's cookies, but no one ever talks about if they were any good or not.
Yeah, like it never gets brought up if they were. I mean, I guess they must have been all right because that their team won, but I think they mainly surprise that team won. But yeah, we don't know if they were good or not.
Yeah,
we don't. I can tell you, based off visually, the first set that she made with Splenda looked like she just cooked doo-doo. They were doo-doo cookies, like cat shit. I was watching it and I audibly went, ew, that looks disgusting. I mean, if I was her, I would have cheated too and added sugar.
Exactly.
In Betty's defense, her reasoning makes sense when she explains what she did. It like makes sense.
Yeah, she was like, I couldn't go out there and serve these drunk children shit. They're already eating so barely anything. It would be insulting to them to give them literal shit. So I had to put sugar in it.
I want to get defensive.
Well, let me ask Betty directly. Betty, did you follow the exact recipe you followed yesterday?
Let me just say, I put 2 additional tablespoons of sugar in. But the portions were a lot smaller, and that was where I figured that was compensated. Plus, we had an additional 60 calories in our 500-calorie compensation, which I thought that was the guideline that we needed to stick with.
Right, but once the recipes were locked in yesterday, you were not supposed to deviate today at all.
I misunderstood that.
The timing is wrong because this happened in 2007. But to put you where we are right now is as soon as she says that she put 2 tablespoons of sugar in there, I immediately see the Terrence Ross face. You guys know what I'm talking about? Terrence Ross made this face. Last night they're playing the Magic and Bradley Beal is losing his shit to the ref, and Terrence Ross makes this face that's like, ooh, and that's all I see now. I'll post it on our Instagram for the 4 people that we have who follow us to see that. So just picture Betty going, I added 2 spoonfuls of sugar, and Terrence Ross going, eee!
Which Google also tells me that is like, that's like 80 calories.
So even that is going over the calorie limit, and even if she cuts them smaller, it's still over the limit. So,
yeah.
But that's not 2 tablespoons of sugar for every cookie. It's just for the whole batch.
Yeah, just
I know,
2
but it's
tablespoons would
adding
be 80.
80
Yeah.
calories to the whole batch.
Yeah, so they're still going to be under because then per serving they're going to be way under.
But I think the thing was for your entire thing. Is it per serving 500 calories or is it the whole thing? Oh, it's per serving. Okay.
Yeah.
But this is also, I'm glad we're doing this because this is like what was part of the judges table was like Tom and like Padma and Susan Gunn like couldn't figure out what the rules were. Like they were like, well, is it per serving? And then like Padma's like, I don't fucking know. I didn't set this up. And then he was like, you're the one that told them the rules. And she was like, I didn't come up with them. And he was like, oh yeah, I did.
I think it's Tom. Like puts it all on Susan Gunn. Like he's like, Susan, what do you make of all this? And she's like, I'm the fucking guest judge. I don't know. You're the head judge. Make a decision. And he's like, I don't know what to do.
She flips the table over. She's like, why are you asking me so many questions in this episode? I'm the guest judge.
Well, she pulls what she did to Mike on Tom. She's like, do you even want to be here? Like, it seems like you're not taking this seriously. Like, you don't know the rules of your own show.
And then Tom's like, yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? I looked around at everyone else's stuff and I was like, whoa, they made stuff.
The judges don't know what to do. But wait, who wins?
Frank Nobody wins. Nobody wins.
So, well, Frank did win. No one gets eliminated.
Right.
So,
No one gets eliminated, which means everyone wins.
Yeah. So in reality, everyone kind of wins. But Frank does win the prize of getting to, I think, put together a menu for Susan Gunn. It's something I couldn't figure out what it. And he gets her book.
Yeah, he got her book, and then it was like collaborate on a recipe. And what does that even mean? Like. She's like, should I put salt in there? And he's like, yeah. She's like, cool, you're done. Get out of here.
You collaborate. See you later.
She just shows him a recipe that she already wrote. She's like, does this look good to you? And he's like, I can't see it. She's like, great. Okay, get out of here.
Slams the book in his face.
Yeah. Making lemon pepper chicken.
So
Susan pepper in it? Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good enough for Susan Gunn.
We have the clip. It's going back just a little bit, but I want to hear it because because Sam is the person who so Sam's team is on the bottom and he's very pissed off. Sam is a diabetic. He has said it 1,000 times. So he's like, I don't know how to make food that's low sugar and low calories and I can do it really well. But his team fucking sucked shit because they said that his turkey meatballs were rocks. And so to defend himself, he throws people under the bus. Sort of.
You're saying people cheated?
I'm not saying people cheated. I'm saying maybe they had it accounted for, but during the cooking process today, I saw people with like squeeze bottles of olive oil walking around, like squirting it to coat this or that.
Who?
Just saying.
A tablespoon of olive oil has 120 calories.
I saw many problems occurring yesterday that all of a sudden today were miraculously like, oh.
Well, what wasn't working yesterday that started working today miraculously?
I'm not that guy. I'm just saying I'm not going to go there, but
I'll go.
So Brian, and I told the listeners that I would come back to this, and here it is. I know that you were in that police class.
Yeah,
that you
Policing
took.
101.
Yeah, Policing 101. And there's a bit of an interrogation that's going on here where a lot of questions are being thrown at Sam, and he's really hedging a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the best way to get the truth out of someone like that when they're just not being, straightforward?
There's a couple of things that you can do that Suzanne Going wasn't doing. First of all, she didn't have the bright light in his face. We all know the bright light. That's Policing 101. It's the bright light. She wasn't doing good cop, bad cop. That's Policing 101, good cop, bad cop. And you've got 4 people on the judges table. You could have done good cop, bad cop, good cop, bad cop. A nice little one after the other situation. She could have tried beating the shit out of him. Is something that they really hammered home to us in that class. They were like, look, if you ever need someone to just fully give up any information you have, just beat the shit out of them. And then there was one other one, but I forget what it was because I was knocked unconscious because I wouldn't tell the teacher where I had gone. So he beat the hell out of me, and then he was like, and then they did something else. And I was like, I was in the bathroom, but I don't remember what they did because I was lost consciousness.
Mm.
But I think it involved public humiliation. Because when I came to, my pants were down.
Wow. Okay.
I wonder where that teacher is now.
Probably dead.
Yeah.
Well, I really think they could have used a lot of that. I mean, there was a little bit of interrogation when Gail said, listen, I'm a good chef here. She took her butcher knife that was in her back pocket. She put it on the table. She's like, we're good. We're just two chefs here. I don't have my knife on me. Just two people talking. She was like, who did it? And he was like, I don't know. I want my call. I want my phone call.
Well, then Tom also took his butcher knife out of the back of his, and he put it on the table, and he said, go ahead, reach for it.
It was like there's such a distance between the contestants and the judges table. He would have to like kind of run to get to it.
Oh, he did, but Tom did push it a little bit further each time. He said, go ahead, and then he would just take his middle finger a little more. He's like, go ahead. He'd say, go ahead.
And it slowly just kind of like teetered off the table and like banged on the ground. And then he was like, oh no, that's my good knife. And he kind of
freaked out.
Yeah, he got really.
And he ran around the table and picked it up. And he's like, that's what I thought. And he put it back. And then Mia spilled all the beans. She spilled every bean she had. Sam's like, I'm not that guy. I'm not going to go there. And Mia goes, I'll go there. Great. So awesome.
You need black people to show you how it's done.
Yeah. She names names. She also backs up Mike when like Susan Gunn starts going at him again, where she's like, no, you need to hold up. Mike is a good guy. I know he's a fucking slob who actually is kidnapped and doesn't want to be here and is being held against his will, but he's a good chef. You need to be nice to him. So she has no problem, throwing, the other teams under the bus. So Tom comes out. He tells everyone, he's like, we don't understand the rules. I don't know how to deal with this. No one's getting eliminated, but I'm super pissed. You guys go home and think about what you've done.
And no one's going home tonight.
But believe me, we're going to be watching you really closely from here on out. Consider yourselves on probation.
Thank you, Chef.
I think if you listen closely, you can hear Marcel say, isn't Cliff already on probation? Because he's bold.
And that is something that Marcel would probably say through his teeth, like basically not opening his mouth. He's already on probation.
Is this like probation the same as Cliff's probation because he's bald?
And do you think they wrote out exactly what he had to say about which is like very silly? Like he's talking about a group of chefs that she's putting on probation, like he's some kind of principal or like dean of like chef school. Top Chef school. I mean, I would laugh every time I said that because it's insane and sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
In a way, though, he did sound like he had kidnapped them because he did say, no one's going home.
Oh, yeah. And he did kind of like look right at Mike.
Yeah, right at Mike's like, no one's going home. And Mike's like, oh, are we all kidnapped now?
He's like, what?
So, okay. So now it all makes sense because Mike's trying to go home. Mike wants to get eliminated to go home.
Mike also had Cheeto dust on his mouth during this supposed elimination, which means he was still eating his meal from the quickfire.
He pocketed some of that cash so he could go back to the vending machine. He's like, $10 for a vending machine? I can get like 70 things with $10. This is 2007. Everything was like a penny in there. So they're all feeling sad. They've disappointed their dean and their dad, Tom. So they go back home, and Josie takes it upon herself to kind of like really get everything out in the open and have an open conversation with people about how they treat one another, especially when they're at the judges' table. And she brings up kind of what we've been talking about, which is like, throwing people under the bus.
Make me think, you know what, she's not cheating.
First of all, I know that our team played by the rules. So I know that whatever was said tonight was not directed at our team. Number two, I'm going to also say that, when we're out there on the fucking chopping block and we throw each other off the bus, don't come holding my hand afterwards.
Yeah. And immediately after that, Josie's like, no, I'm not talking about throwing people under the bus. I'm talking about throwing people off the bus.
Yeah.
No one is going to throw my teammates off a bus. You throw as many people as you want under the bus. I don't give a shit about that. But off a bus, that's unacceptable. We're chefs here.
Yeah.
We have places to go. I need to take that bus to my location. You will not. I paid my fare. My whole team. Look. My team paid our fares. All right, $275 each. Will not throw us off the bus. Under the bus, sure. Yes.
Oh, of course.
Every
Under
time.
the bus, yes. I'm doing that constantly to everyone, including my family and friends. But off the bus, not in my kitchen.
Cliff and me are like, same story, different day. Trying to throw us off the bus.
Cliff is also drinking an entire bottle of Pepto-Bismol while wearing what looks like nurse scrubs, I think.
He's worn those nurse scrubs before.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him where he's drinking Pepto from the bottle so much, but he's stressed out. He's got some stomach issues.
Wait, I'm a little worried. If he's drinking Pepto and he's wearing nurse scrubs, it seems like he might have gone to the doctor. And if he's wearing nurse scrubs, did he knock a nurse out and do a clothes swap to escape? You know, in every sitcom, there's the doctor who gives wacky doctor stuff, and then it turns out that they're actually one of the patients.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that bit.
Cliff did?
I think so. I really don't. I know last episode we talked a lot about the Joker, but that's really all I can think about.
That's all I'm thinking about right now.
This freaking Joker bit where he dresses up like a nurse, which I can't remember exactly why.
He has to go and talk to Dent, who's in the hospital. Half his face is blown off.
And since I'm a 35-year-old white guy, I'll talk about The Dark Knight real quick. Is that in that scene, it has one of my favorite horrible acting moments of all time in a big budget movie. And when everyone go watch this scene, when Harvey Dent, who's Two-Face, realizes that it's the Joker and not a sexy nurse, he does this weird scream. He's like, ah! Ah! It's so bad.
And the Joker just says, "Hi."
Yeah, everyone go watch that scene. It's very funny and bad, and I think that's my favorite movie of all time.
I look like a guy with a plan.
And maybe that's what Cliff was doing.
I think that's what Cliff was doing.
I think that it all ties together, and we've pulled it back, and everything we just said makes sense.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. So that's the episode, guys. We did it.
We did it.
An episode that Jamal said was the greatest of all time.
It is the greatest of all time. I'll probably say it about the episode next week.
Okay.
We'll see about that.
We'll see about
if
that.
we remember to call that back.
Oh, I remember all my callbacks.
Do you?
No.
I sometimes do. I forgot about the electronic bit until you guys started explaining it to me. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that. So that's what teamwork is about.
It makes the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of DreamWorks, you guys watch Soul yet?
I have not. I'm going to do it tonight.
You're gonna watch it tonight? I think I might watch it tomorrow. I'm stoked for it though.
Yeah.
It's good? You watched it, right?
I really enjoyed it.
Did you cry?
I did, yeah. No one got my joke, and I said, speaking of DreamWorks, because it's a Pixar movie.
No, I got it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got it too.
It wasn't funny.
I got it. I knew what you were saying, and I was like, this is a choice, not for me to laugh.
Yeah, this is on purpose. I'm being silent.
All right, well, guess I'll go fuck off.
Okay, so that wraps up another episode of Pod Chef. Thanks for listening to our 3-hour podcast. As always, rate and review us. Listen, we haven't gotten a lot of ratings or reviews lately.
Can I want to make a pitch for something. I heard a podcast recently where they said at the beginning to give us 5-star reviews, because I don't know how far people are getting into these things. So next week, let's start with give us reviews. So even if someone listens the first minute, they're they have a prompt and they know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with that. And then if that doesn't work, or maybe with that, let's also say we will read your review out on our very famous podcast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
We're on the precipice of having guests that you've heard of. Maybe. So start listening to the podcast.
Tell your friends about it. Say that it's 3 guys you've never heard of, but occasionally there are people that you have heard of that come on it. And maybe in the future.
No guarantees, though.
And underlined guys.
Yeah.
I don't know any women besides my wife, and she won't do the podcast.
Yeah, my wife is too funny to do the podcast. That's the truth.
Same with my wife.
The bit's getting sadder as it goes.
Why is that bit getting sadder?
The reviews I've gotten on that bit is that it requires more justification. So maybe next week, this is a teaser for next week, we will dig into more information on that so people get the joke more.
I'd love to talk about my wife next week.
That's great. Okay. Follow up. You got to follow up and listen to another 3-hour episode next week. So do you guys have anything else you want to say to our fans?
I'd like to leave them with this. The road less traveled doesn't have as many travelers.
And that makes me think.
So for the Pod Chef crew, we are packing our knives,